Archaeological excavations and research have been going on in Egypt for more than 100 years. During this time, scientists have discovered many finds. Many of them were truly amazed and even changed their understanding of the history of ancient Egypt. But there are also those findings that scared the researchers. Many believe that they are cursed and bring misfortune to everyone who touches them. Is this really the case? In this video, I will tell you about the most incredible finds in Egypt in history. Mummies with a golden tongue. 2021, archaeologists in Egypt unearthed a mummy with a golden tongue in its mouth. Her approximate age is estimated at 2,000 years. The team of archaeologists discovered 16 graves carved into the rock tombs. There were poorly preserved mummies inside. It is believed that the dead were given amulets made of gold foil in the shape of tongues so that they could speak before the judgment of the god Osiris in the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that Osiris was the lord of the underworld and the judge of the dead. Scientists also found funerary marble masks and several gold coins with the name of Queen Cleopatra of Egypt. Tutankhamun's tomb. Tutankhamun's tomb in the Egyptian Valley of the Kings is perhaps the most famous archaeological discovery not only in Egypt, but throughout the world. It was discovered by a team of archaeologists in 1922. The tomb contained fantastic treasures, including Tutankhamun's death mask and his mummy. 100 years ago, this discovery immediately caused a stir in the newspapers. Many journalists claimed that the mummy contained an ancient curse. Tutankhamun became famous in part because he died when he was a teenager. Analysis of his remains showed that he suffered from various health problems and walked with a cane. Tutankhamun spent less than 10 years in the 1300s BC. Legend said that the tomb was protected from encroachments by a terrible curse that killed everyone who dared to enter there and disturb Tutankhamun's rest. Indeed, less than a year after the discovery, the head of the expedition, Lord Carnarvon, died from a mosquito bite. Many people naturally decided that the curse had worked. Moreover, shortly before the death of the archaeologist, his dog also died. All these events have permanently cemented the reputation of Tutankhamun's tomb as cursed. Many years later, this myth was dispelled by researchers. They collected information about several dozen participants of that expedition and found that their life expectancy did not differ from the average. And they died of natural causes. By the way, if you like such videos with interesting finds, then do not forget to like them. A mysterious city underwater. For many centuries there has been a legend about the mysterious city of Heracleion. He was mentioned in some ancient Egyptian records. However, for thousands of years it has been deep underwater. After years of searching, exploring the vast territory of the Gulf off the coast of Egypt, a French archaeologist and his team saw a huge stone face at the bottom of the sea. This was just the beginning of a grand discovery. Among the underwater ruins were 64 ships, treasures, gold coins, huge statues and even the remains of a massive temple. The ruins and artifacts are perfectly preserved and give an idea that 2,300 years ago this place was one of the largest port cities in the world. Heracleion controlled all trade in Egypt. The city looked like modern Venice. It consisted of a large number of islands that were separated by canals. The main mystery remains the cause of the death of this place. So far, scientists do not fully understand why the huge Heracleion was underwater. In 1939, archaeologist Pierre Monti discovered the tomb of Susi-Nzai, the pharaoh who ruled Egypt about 3,000 years ago. But the most interesting detail of this find is that the pharaoh was buried in a coffin made of silver, and he also wore a gold funeral mask. Because of this discovery, Susi-Nzai became known as the Silver Pharaoh. Vessels were also found in the tomb, in which some of the pharaoh's organs were placed during burial. Since the tomb was discovered when World War II began, it attracted little media attention. One of the main mysteries of this find lies in the unprecedented wealth of the discovered burial. After all, silver is a much rarer type of precious metal for ancient Egypt than gold. That is, the luxury of the tomb indicated that the pharaoh was very successful in financial and political matters during his reign. However, Susi-Nzai was not one, which raised many questions from historians. The mummy of Ramesses II is called by many historians the most powerful pharaoh in the entire history of Egypt, namely Ramesses II. He ruled for 6 decades in the 1300s BC, lived for more than 90 years and, according to approximate estimates, became the father of more than 100 children. Initially, his body was buried in the Valley of the Kings, as was customary for the pharaoh. But later the ancient Egyptian priests moved it to prevent looters. At the end of the 19th century, the mummy of Ramesses II was discovered in a secret royal hiding place along with the mummies of more than 50 other representatives of the ancient Egyptian nobility. The Rosetta Stone. In 1799, historians discovered a mysterious stone on the territory of Egypt. It had inscriptions in 3 different languages. Moreover, scientists knew only one of these languages, Greek. But since the Greek inscription conveyed the same decree as the other 2 languages, it helped scientists decipher unfamiliar languages. The Rosetta Stone contained a decree written by the Council of Priests, which confirmed the right of Pharaoh Ptolemy V to rule Egypt. Pharaoh was 13 years old at that time. The scientific group accompanying the military expedition led by Napoleon found the stone in 1799. Later, the British captured the stone, which is now in the British Museum. The Egyptians have been asking Britain for many years to return the stone to its original homeland, but they invariably receive a refusal. Valley of the Golden Mummies. In the mid-90s of the last century, a group of archaeologists excavated a large burial site near Cairo. Initially, about 100 mummies were found. Some of them had gold masks and gold plates on their chests, while others were simply covered with clay or cloth. Since then, hundreds more mummies have been found in this area, but scientists are sure that this is not all. They assume that the total number can reach up to 10,000, and their age is about 2,000 years. A large number of mummies, which are buried with gold masks and expensive jewelry, suggests that a fairly wealthy population lived in this area several thousand years ago. The Lost Golden City. In 2021, a lost golden city was found south of the Egyptian capital Cairo. It is one of the largest ancient cities ever discovered by archaeologists in the country, and one of the most significant finds since the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb centuries ago. According to preliminary calculations, the city is 3,000 years old. The mummy of Amenhotep I was discovered more than a century ago. Usually, the mummies of the pharaohs were not wrapped in a shell, but the mummy of Amenhotep was covered with a thick layer of cloth. Over the past 100 years, scientists have not dared to remove its shell and mask, so as not to damage the contents. Only in 2021, specialists from Cairo University used 3D computed tomographs to reveal what is under the layers of clothing. The scan allowed us to examine the body of Amenhotep I with unprecedented detail. For example, scientists were able to find out that Amenhotep was about 35 years old at the time of his death. Why he died is not completely known. The researchers were unable to find any traces of violent death or any disease. The tomb of Ki-Vi 5. This is the largest tomb in Egypt that has ever been found. And although archaeologists discovered it a long time ago, back in the first half of the 19th century, the real study of this find began only 25 years ago. This tomb belonged to the children of Pharaoh Ramses II. This is a real complex consisting of 70 burial rooms. They branch off from the main corridor and contain thousands of pottery shards, jewelry, and a large statue of the god Osiris. The news of the discovery of this tomb became a real sensation for archaeologists. Papyri of the Pyramid Era. In 2013, a group of archaeologists announced the opening of a port built along the Red Sea about 4,500 years ago, during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. Among the finds are papyri that tell about the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest pyramid ever built. The papyri say that the limestone used for the exterior cladding of the Great Pyramid was transported from the quarry to Giza along the Nile River and a number of canals. According to the papyri, one boat trip to deliver the limestone took about 4 days. The Aksarinsky papyri are another remnant of ancient papyri that really amazed scientists. In the period from 1896 to 1907, archaeologists discovered more than 500,000 papyrus fragments, which are about 1,800 years old. Researchers have discovered fragments in the ruins of Exinha, a large ancient city in southern Egypt that flourished at a time when Egypt was under the rule of the Roman Empire. The harsh conditions of the city led to the fact that the papyri used by the inhabitants existed for almost 2 millennia. The papyri include the Christian gospel, magic spells, and even a contract to organize a wrestling match. Despite the fact that scientists have been deciphering these papyri for more than 100 years, many of them still remain untranslated and, quite possibly, retain many secrets and secrets. Pyramids of Giza. Undoubtedly, these pyramids are one of the main discoveries of scientists in Egypt. Absolutely everyone knows the images of these pyramids from the suburbs of Cairo. It is there that the famous Great Sphinx is located. Inside these pyramids there are many rooms and hidden rooms, and the complex itself is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.